I need for real though. I need something to say. I should have thought about how I should start off this video. I should have done that. Yeah. Stop. But y'all see that? The glitch? Yeah. Guys, I love glitches. I do. Like, it's a weird thing, but I really like how glitches look, especially on video or photography. I'm a natural technophile. I love technology. I love everything technology. So when I see glitches and everything, I just have to be like, ooh, do that again. I mean, I just love using them. I love how they look. Glitches add a really, really nice aesthetic to anything that you're doing. So in this video here, I'm gonna teach you how to create some awesome old school VHS style glitches. Most of you probably don't know what VHS is. I take that back. Many of you probably do, but if you're part of the younger audience, you probably don't know what a VHS is, but it's something I grew up with. So this is the image I'm gonna use to show you guys how to do the first glitch style. So we have our base layer, and what we're gonna do is gonna create a new layer by using Control J. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn this black and white. Now, I did this by using the shortcut Control Alt Shift and B, which basically turns everything black and white. Now, what we're gonna do, double click, or you can right click it to bring up your blending options. We're gonna only have our red channel active. So let's go ahead and remove green and blue. All right, click OK. So now what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna duplicate our black and white layer. We're gonna go back into our blending options. And now we're gonna reverse this. We're gonna take away our reds and just have our green and blue channels active. Like so. And as you can see, we already have our difference. So we have, this is with all channels active, just the red channel, and then just the green and blue channel. So now that we have our channels separated, we're gonna go to Image, Transform, and Warp. Now keep in mind, if you're using an older version of Photoshop, if you're not using the 2020 version and you're using something earlier, you're not gonna have these options. So don't worry if your Warp panel looks a little bit different than mine, but because it's going to work the same. So we're gonna click Warp, and if you are using 2019 or earlier, you're gonna have what would technically be like your rule of thirds set up here, and you can still move everything around the same way, so just keep following along with me. So we're gonna move this just a little bit. And you only have to do a little bit to cause a slight amount of distortion. We're not gonna do a whole lot. Actually gonna mask out a lot of this a little bit later to bring the color back in. All right, and this is good for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit enter. Now we're gonna go ahead and group these together. We're actually gonna merge these later, and I really don't like to do destructive editing. I like to always keep my layers just in case. All right, we can go ahead and go ahead and turn this off, make that invisible. We don't need that right now. Next, we're just gonna go ahead and make a duplicate of our background layer. Let's go ahead and just move this up here. Then I'm gonna make a layer mask out of my black and white layer here. And like I said, I'm just gonna mask out certain parts that I want to be color. Now you can do this generally how you want, whatever you feel your flow is for this. Personally, I'd rather have most of her skin back in color. And I'm gonna change my opacity up here to 10. And I did use the button on my mouse, so if you don't have a gamer mouse with buttons on it, you can always just come up here and type it in. I'm just going to lightly brush these out, just so a little bit of the blue from her jacket comes in. and it still keeps the desired effect. I'm actually gonna take this Calvin and kind of, actually no, I'm gonna leave it just like that. I like that. Let's get a little bit more of this out of here. There we go. Make it a little bit bigger. There. And now you never just want just your subject to be in color. So we're actually gonna go out and do these as well. And actually, you know what? I should have separated this more back here. So I went back and rewarped it a little bit. See, that's why I kept it in group, just in case I needed to do something like that. That's why I don't like destructive editing. That's why I like to keep all my raw base files in my project, just in case I have to do something like that. So I'm gonna go back over and knock these colors out. I'm gonna go ahead and bring the colors back in her face and everything else just like I did before. I'm actually gonna speed this up now, so you have to sit here and watch it. And there we have it. Now we're gonna go ahead and make a group out of this because we're gonna merge these together. Merge group. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little bit of noise. Noise, add noise. I'm gonna go probably, that works. 6.3%. Actually, let's put it on uniform. We can up our amount a little bit more. Yeah. So we're gonna go about 11.5% uniform distribution on a monochromatic. Make sure monochromatic is indeed checked. Good, now we have a nice noisy, almost fuzzy like VHS style image. And now we're gonna go ahead and add a nice little vibrance layer to this. So we're gonna come down here, create vibrance. Go ahead and move this over here because that's where I like mine at. I'm gonna desaturate it a little bit and bring down the vibrance slightly. Actually, let's bring up the saturation slightly and drop our vibrance. That works. And now we're gonna add one more thing. We're gonna go back here and we're gonna add a photo filter. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add probably about a nice blue. About right there does it. Increase my density a little bit. Actually, I'm gonna bring my opacity down on this photo filter a little bit. Just a little bit. I don't want so much blue in my image. There. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna duplicate this layer here. Let's go ahead and name this color shift. And now I'm gonna duplicate this layer just for safety, so that way I have it. We're gonna go to channels and we're only gonna have our blue and green selected. So let's deselect these two. And this will be necessary so that way only these two layers are affected in the next step, which will be shearing. Now, if you're using Photoshop 2020, you're gonna have an option down here called the single row marquee tool. This is super easy to use. You pretty much just click and you'll have your row across here. It's super small for me because my image is so big, but you can see it here when I zoom in. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and Control D that so I could deselect it. I'm actually gonna come up here and I'm gonna use my rectangular marquee tool just so I can select something a little bit bigger. I'm gonna drag it all the way across, like so. I'm gonna go up to Filter, distort, and shear. Now you're gonna have this little box that comes up here. This is what's going to be, this is gonna create your pretty much wave effect here. So we're gonna bring this a little bit this way, and it kind of works a little bit like curves. We're just gonna create almost like a simulated wave setup here. Like so. And boom. There we have it. And if this isn't enough for you, you can hit Control-Alt-F to repeat the process, or you can just go up to filter and click here. Remember, this will be whatever your last filter was. So you can always either come up here and click it to repeat it again, or you can just use the shortcut, Alt-Control-F or Command-Alt-F. Now I'm gonna do this a couple more times. I'm gonna deselect that. I'm gonna do one down here, nice bigger one here. And actually, I don't want it to be so prominent, so I'm gonna go back up to shear. I'm gonna bring this in. I'm gonna bring them all in. There. There we go. Do one more. Yeah, that works. I'm gonna deselect that. And do one here. And now that we have our green and blue channels done, what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back here and just select our red channel. And now we're gonna repeat the process. Here, deselect that, and here, like so, and deselect that. Now we're gonna go back to our channels and make sure everything is selected. Good, it's looking good. Now, what I wanna do is, it does look a little jagged. So I'm gonna create a layer mask. I'm gonna come in here. I'm gonna kind of soften it up just a little bit. Now for the next step is our text. On this one, I'm gonna do it at the end, obviously, but in the next video where I go over my other way of doing this, I'm gonna put it at the beginning because the text will be part of the effect. So we're gonna use this font right here, VCR OSD Mono. You can get that at thefont.com. It's an awesome site. And we're just gonna throw some dates together for this. Let's see, this was shot June 1st, 2018. Let's go ahead and put that in. Let's go ahead and turn that white. We can actually bring down this font size a little bit. And again, your font size will be depending on your image. This is a very big image, so I need to use a bigger font size. So we're on June 1st, 2018 at PM 2:19. Let's go ahead and separate that. And there we have it. And to be honest, I do not like this effect right here, so I'm actually gonna mask that out. Now let's move this this text up here to the top, and we're gonna give this like a nice little glowy VHS style effect. So I'm gonna make a duplication of this layer, and we're gonna rasterize it. I'm gonna make a couple copies of this. Let's do one more. All right, smash these out. So first layer, boom. This will kind of stay as it is for the bottom layer, But I'm gonna take this layer and I'll apply a blur to it. So I'm gonna go to Gaussian blur. I'm gonna increase my blur effect. There we go. So it has like a bit of a glow to it. Next, we're gonna put our main text layer behind it, in front of everything. This layer, our second layer here, we're gonna use to add some noise. It's too much noise. That'll do. And then for this layer here, this is kind of gonna be a drop shadow of sorts. So let's go ahead and move. I'm actually using the arrow keys for this. I'm gonna drop its opacity to like 20%. Perfect. We're gonna bring back our main layer and drop its opacity to about 50. And there we have it. We have our first VHS style effect. So yeah. Well, that's it. Thank you for joining me on this one. This is just the first part. Instead of like putting everything together, what I've decided to do was kind of each variation I'm gonna create a different video for. Turns out that a lot of the videos I was doing where I would do multiple variations, it was just really, really long. So I'm just gonna chop it up, make it easier to, make it easier to digest. But again, thank you for joining me. Please like, comment, subscribe. I love it all. I love it all. Please share this video. Again, glitches are something I really love, and they're just awesome. So thank you for taking time out to watch this video. All right. See you next time. Peace. Ugh. Oh, I love doing these videos, but man, I'm telling y'all, it's a chore, but I love it. I love it. I really should start writing these things out. I probably should. All right. Oh, perfect.